All right, folks. What's up? My name is Willie Molina. I'm here with The Brosen, and this is a special episode because this is the first ever episode of first of all, the Coin Cowboy shirt. Ooh, we'll talk about that later. But we have never had a Brosen episode with just the OG, triple OGs.
That's right.
Mitch, Drake, Ben. I met these brothers, Ben and Mitch, through this brother. And we've got some special guests for you.
Yeah, we do. Speaking of brothers.
Speaking of bros.
Hit him, Mitch. Bars. Oh, please. Go ahead, Willie.
The one, the only two brothers, the K Bros. We're missing the third, but he probably wouldn't want to be here even if we invited him. No, I'm actually. Oh, Willie's going to be there?
He'd be behind the camera. He'd be back there. Yeah.
But yes, man, super duper
Let's
special.
give it up for the Kendrick Brothers.
Alex and Stephen Kendrick, thank you for joining us.
We are excited to be with you guys.
Where are you right now? Where are you guys calling
That doesn't look like home.
We are in Rio de Janeiro, and we are scouting for a movie we're shooting here this fall, meaning fall 25. And so we're in Rio and met with some churches today, and we're going to shoot a feature film here.
In September.
Yeah, we're going to shoot a feature film throughout September, early October. And so our first overseas movie. And we have one scheduled in another country after this one. So we're excited about both of those.
That's crazy. Can you give us, is that all the details you can give us for what's in Brazil right now, or can you give us anything else?
Yeah, no, we'll tell you. Okay, so of the 10 movies we've made, our very first one was Flywheel. It was shot standard definition in 2002 and 2003.
480p.
Unbelievable.
Starring Alex Kendrick.
Yeah, and
everybody worked for free.
Yeah, it was a volunteer movie. Everybody worked for free. Shot for $20,000.
Wardrobe was your closet.
Yes, wardrobe was your own closet.
Catering was your refrigerator.
Catering was your own refrigerator.
Yeah.
No, but
say that again, though, Alex. You said $20,000.
$20,000 the whole project. Yeah,
and a bunch of volunteers. Wow.
Yeah, and it sold 1.3 million DVDs. Went around the world. We were stunned. Oh. We could not believe what the Lord did. And I fell flat on my face throughout that thing, thinking I could make a movie, and I realized how little I knew. So the Lord, it's interesting how the Lord will humble you and break you before He uses you to your fullest potential. And so
we went through the same cycle that all young filmmakers go through.
Yeah,
where we're like, I love Jesus, but I want to make cool, non-cheesy Christian movies.
We'll never make a cheesy.
We're never going to make a cheesy Christian movie. We're going to make a legit movie. So we're going to thread the needle of it being really God-honoring, but being artistically amazing.
Yes.
And people are going to be so impressed with us. We went through that too, and then the Lord humbled us.
Yeah.
And now we have that same conversation with these young filmmakers who meet us, and they're like, yeah, I've seen your movies, and they're good and all, but I'm going to make real movies.
Yeah.
And we're like...
All right, I want to pause right there.
We have to.
Yeah, I want to pause right there. First of all, that is what my first time working with you guys. That is what I absolutely love about you guys. You're so humble,
right?
And you're willing to go, hey, we were there. We were pastors first, become filmmakers, and you're willing to say, like, hey, like, we're not making cheesy Christian films, but here we are. And it's like, but what you've done, you guys always honor God first, and you guys have proven that every time. And it makes people like me, Willie, Mitch, and Ben, all of us that have worked with you, and everybody that comes to work with you, want to come back and do it again.
That's right.
It doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't even matter what film you're making. Like, it doesn't even matter what project you guys are making. But the environment that you guys create on the set is what I tell everybody about. I didn't want to jump in this early, but I'm already here. But anyways,
I know.
Your sets. I tell everybody this. I've done lots of podcasts myself and been on other things that I speak, and people ask me about the Kendrick Brothers, and I always say, they're like, "What's different about their set?" And I'm like, that's what's amazing about them is their set is different. It's like going to church camp, and it's not going to make a movie. It's going to church camp, and we're getting Jesus, and we're all getting on fire for the Lord. And then on the side, we're making a movie. Right. Like, but it's like, it's all, like, you guys have created that environment, and it's so powerful and so amazing. And I tell everybody, like, your sets are so different, and that's what I love. And I will always do movies with you guys for as long as I can because of the environment you create and the way you guys do things. So
It's so true. And I feel like, to take it back to what you were saying though, Alex, I feel like it stems from that. Like you didn't know what you were doing. It doesn't matter. You had your hearts right. And that's, now you've done 10 movies, or it's in your process of that phase. It's incredible and inspiring.
I probably 20 times in the past 12 months, I will have someone reach out and like, hey, I'm interested in it. Would you read this? I want you to be considered. I want to consider you for this role if you'd like to do it. And then I just feel like I'm called to do this, and I don't want to make a cheesy thing. And then I'll get the script. And I'm like, all right, praise God. I think they'll do exactly what, I don't want to be rude to anyone, but sometimes I'm like, wait, so you're casting a stone here, and then you sent me this thing, and I'm like, I just want to be like, okay, what about this? But if the motive and the purpose is there, we can go jam. We can get together. We can fight this battle together and find the truth in it. But it starts with that, like, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, well, this is a little cheese right here. In Jesus' name. I mean, again, no judgment. We're all, to sit down and write something, 10 pages, 100 pages. What a blessing. Like, you took time. It takes time. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It takes some humbling. It takes some, like, just being, realization, like, oh, wow, this is really, really tough.
Also, you guys say all these things about, like, we didn't know what we were doing. Like, I definitely cried when I was watching Flywheel. Like, I even squinting to see through the 480p, and I was waiting for it to buffer. Like, I was still crying. It's beautiful work.
Overcomer, War Room. Come on.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's what I love about, and you guys are working with Dallas Jenkins. And what I love about Dallas Jenkins is, on the other side of the Lord taking him to a place where he just said, Lord, what do you want me to do? And I'm setting aside ego. I'm setting aside whatever I believed I could do without you. And Dallas, look how the Lord has used Dallas. It's just unbelievable. And he's seeking the Lord. He's a good leader, good director, and to see what the Lord has done with The Chosen and you guys is just awesome. So, so to all if you're a filmmaker and you're watching this episode of The Brosen, I'm telling you, all of us start off overconfident, thinking I'm not going to do the cheesy stuff. It's going to be respected and artistic. But if you're doing it for the Lord, you have to have his favor and blessing on you. And sometimes that comes after we're broken. And
Amen.
And so that's a hard lesson to learn, but I thank God for it all the time. Man, Lord, empty me of me and just use me to honor you. And we love it when God does stuff that even we say, we don't know how that happened, but it makes you say, that was the Lord, because it sure wasn't us. And we're grateful for that.
Well, that's just a taste, guys. That's just a taste. Like, that's happening, and they're being on set with the Kendrick Brothers is hearing Alex say that, knowing that you're going into overtime, but it doesn't matter, because you're just like, you know what?
We're here for the Lord.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it's all about.
You're complaining about your pay? We're here for the Lord, man.
Hey, they're ADs, man. They're tapped out. They don't get any extra OT.
Yeah, exactly.
Ever.
We don't get any OT, so we're just stressing about the money over money being spent.
We're watching the sunset, but I feel
you
inspired
pulled
on
an
the
all-nighter
inside.
last night. Jesus took it on the cross.
Locations is like, oh man, praise God. Let's just keep this running. I'm feeling the Holy Spirit here. This is a blessing. My wife is a blessing. Keep it going. I want to include Ben as soon as humanly possible, but real quick, Flywheel, before we keep going. I've heard the story, but when was like the first thought? Who was it that sparked that, hey, let's write this down. Let's make this into a movie?
Well, when Stephen and I were praying, and our church said, yes, we'll do it very cautiously. We're not 100% in yet, but we'll walk in that direction. And the first thing I did, I went to the Lord and I said, God, this is the movie I want to make. I just need you to bless it. And the more I prayed about it, the more he said no. Because I was doing all this stuff guys want to see, and all this stuff thinking I could be a established filmmaker and be respected for my craft, et cetera, et cetera. All this stuff that filmmakers want. And the Lord said no. And I got frustrated, and I said, God, you're not opening up any doors. You're not giving me favor. You're not giving me resources. So I finally went to him and I said, what do you want me to do? And he said, lordship. And the more I prayed about it, and I told the story through a used car salesman perspective, and shot it in our town, 20,000. Everybody was a volunteer. It did not turn out like I thought. but the story worked. Everything else did not work. And to finish what I was telling you we're doing in Brazil, we're Stephen and I are meeting with 200 pastors or so, and then a bunch of filmmakers that want to make films that honor the Lord. We're going to walk them through what we call our boot camp and our mistakes and what what the Lord has done and how to depend on Him, and then we're going to remake Flywheel in Brazil in Portuguese with all Brazilian cast and crew. So Sony's releasing it. So this is our first movie.
But we will have to watch it with the subtitles because we don't speak Portuguese.
Right. We don't speak Portuguese.
Oh my gosh.
But what we're doing, Steven is walking with the producer team in Brazil. I'm walking with the director here in Brazil. We're casting together. We're going through it together. And then Steven and I, as we get like to week 3, we step aside and just cheer them on and let them finish and cross the finish line. And then, and then say, hey, you guys can do this from now on. You can make movies that honor the Lord. So don't chase awards, but do chase excellence, a growing level of excellence every film as you dedicate it to the Lord. So that's what we're doing in Brazil. We're thrilled to be here. Of course, it's beautiful in Rio. And the church is here. Man, they're all in. They're so on fire for the Lord and excited. So that's what we're doing in Rio.
That is
awesome.
Another thing I love about the Kendricks is that what you guys do is you always give back to the next generation. Since I've known you guys, you are always trying to mentor the next generation. You bring interns onto your program. You do the boot camp. You're trying to teach people that are like young filmmakers, this is how we do it. And you bring the gospel into that. And so there's so much power in that, and you guys teach in the next generation, which is awesome because you guys obviously started something. There was the Christian films did not exist before you guys. Like honestly, I mean, it had been a long break before, and so I love that with your instant success, you then immediately have been passing along and continue to. So thank you because that's been fun.
Absolutely.
Well, we're thrilled about how things are developing now. The Chosen is awesome. I loved, Jesus Revolution. I Can Only Imagine. There's a lot of those kinds of movies being made now that from a number of filmmakers, and that number's growing, and I think that is just awesome.
Now, you say you're also involved with casting Flywheel right now in Brazil, but you were also the lead in Flywheel. So are you basically... You're watching them come in, you're like, it's not it yet. You're just kind of waiting for that guy that kind of talks like you, and like, I think we found him.
He's too tall. He's too
looking for the Brazilian Alex Kendrick. Yeah.
Well,
where is he? I'm Alexander Kendricko, and
I'm looking for this.
Right.
But the cool part is I get to play one of the minor roles in this version. It's just a small role.
He's going to have to speak Portuguese.
Yeah, I got to speak Portuguese. I'm playing a very minor role as I watch other guys carry the film. Todo bem.
That's awesome.
Todo bem. Sane.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Tortilla.
I cannot wait. It's so great. That's awesome.
Ben, get in here, man. What was your first Kendrick experience? Tell us something.
Dude, I have had, thankfully, some very cool moments in my short film career. I no longer work in film. I would assume you would remember me being I was the second for life mark, but I've not had the pleasure of working on multiple movies with you. But
I remember seeing my phone blow up with stills of you and Nerf gun bullets for like weeks. For like weeks.
I know.
We had a group chat where we just shared pictures of Ben every day for weeks.
Oh my gosh.
And the Nerf bullets everywhere. Oh my gosh.
Again, just another experience on the set of the Kendrick Man. We had a crazy Nerf battle. That was so much.
That's right.
Growing up, I am from Duncan, Oklahoma, and I mean we call it the middle of the Bible Belt, and I remember watching Facing the Giants as a kid and being like, this movie's incredible. This, like, you feel so much hope in it, and especially the scene where it's like a few more yards, and it shows, and clearly they passed the yard. You're like, they did it. It's insane. And then when Adam called me up and said, hey, you want to come to Georgia and film with the Kendrick Brothers? I need a second. Well, how do you feel? And I was like, dude, I'm all in. absolutely, let's go. And it is crazy because it was a weird moment of kind of like so many circles coming together. Because the first movie I ever worked on was my brother's keeper in Columbus, Georgia, while y'all
Yeah.
were filming
Overcomer.
Overcomer. And first movie I ever worked on. I was an unpaid intern, and to come full circle, where 3 years later I was a paid assistant director on a Kendrick Brothers movie, and getting to experience what that was every day. But even more so, leading up to that, had already working with Adam and Mitch. They were just like, dude, you've no idea what this is like. It is unreal. It's unlike any other set. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like the Thursday before we started shooting. I hadn't met either of you yet, and Adam was like, "Oh yeah, we're all going to." I think it was Cheddar's. It was Cheddar's Grill there in Columbus, and he was like, "Steven's going to come join us." And Steven, you told basically your story, your family, and I was like crying at the table, and I was just like, "This movie is going to change my life. This is incredible. Oh my gosh!" And immediately I was like, "Wow, the Kendricks are the real deal. This is they fully walk the walk and talk the talk. This is incredible."
So true.
I remember that, man.
Incredible.
That was so great. You were like, "Where are we eating?" I was like, and you freaking.
It's like we're going to Cheddar's.
You did not play around, man.
Yeah.
You were like, you asked us some questions, and like, I felt like every question was like, I have no idea.
Well, Steven, I think Steven just sat down and was like, "Have you guys ever read Ephesians?" And it was just like immediately
took off from there, man.
like the most
Oh my
impactful.
gosh.
It was
Steven
great.
don't play around, man.
I remember that dinner.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a good
Yeah.
time.
That's what I Steven is direct, and that's what I love about him too. Well, I want to jump into how I got with the Kendricks then, because then that kind of I guess brought the rest of you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, true.
So I had been wanting to work with you guys for forever. I started basically first ADing in like 2010, and I remember I emailed you, Alex, right after you guys made Fireproof. I was like, that's it. I have to work with these guys. Fresh out of film school, and I emailed Alex, and he responded and basically was like. And I was like, I want to work with you. This is what I want to do. And Alex responded kindly and was just basically like, hey, we're still doing volunteers. We're not really hiring real crew. And I was in California at the time. But anyway, so
At
then
film school.
And yeah, at film school. And so then years later, though, I had the opportunity. Somehow I got the offer to come second War Room, not first, but second.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, I
That's
was gonna say you guys probably don't know the story.
Yeah.
I got somebody. I forget who called me, but somebody called me to offer
Was it
second.
Al,
And
right?
I was
Wasn't Al
mostly
the first idea of that?
I'm
Al
not sure.
Minot?
They would know. Was it Al? Who's your
Al
first
Minot
AD
was
on?
firsting that maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so I didn't know him, though.
His
So-
first idea I ever worked for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I didn't know Al. So somebody
Yeah.
else contacted me though and just said, "Hey, Adam could be your second." And I had mostly been firsting at that point, not seconding. So I was like, I mean, it's kind of a step down. I was like, but I want to work with the Kendricks. I have to. But we had just had baby number 4, like literally 2 weeks before that. And I was like, there is no way I can do this movie. So I turned down the second position for War Room. And I remember telling my wife, going, there's no way I work with the Kendricks now. This is like their 7th movie. If they don't have a first AD they love by now, then they're they have to.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I'd found out that you guys had done basically a different first AD for every movie so far. And but anyways, long story short, I ended up meeting Justin Tolley, did Indivisible with him. Justin does all the Kendrick films. Justin's like, dude, you're awesome. I want to work with you. How about you come do this movie, Overcomer, with the Kendricks? And I'm like, I've been trying to get with the Kendricks for 10 years. Let's do this. Anyways, it's just, in my life, it's such a God thing of like how War Room didn't work out and other things didn't work out until it was God's perfect timing for me to come do the first movie I did with you guys, which was Overcomer. And so what's also cool about that is by the time I did Overcomer with you guys, I had done a bunch of movies. So I knew what set was like. I knew how sets were ran, secular sets and other sets. So of course I come into your set and I'm like, what are these guys doing? This is not how it works. and so I had that experience coming in, but I remember also coming in a little humbled by it too, though, just going, but this is right. This is cool. This is awesome. Like the first time you guys introduced boot camp, which real quick, what they do is boot camp is they do basically, if you work on a film set, there is no warm up. You get, as you guys know, you get thrown in. I mean,
Yeah.
Mitch can attest to it because I threw him into the first time of PAing, and Willie too. I threw him into the first time ever
email
PAing.
with a deal memo.
You get an
show
email,
up.
and you're like, "Here you go, show up, and you better do what you're told." And it's like, but I don't know anything.
You're just like shaking. You're like, to go for me.
The business is very bad about that, right? Of just throwing people in, and it's just like you better figure it out on day one.
Right.
The Kendricks do a boot camp, which is like a day one where they pay everyone to not film anything, which costs a lot of money because, as everyone knows, if they listen to the show, it is very expensive to make a movie, and it is very expensive for one day of filming. And so, to take a whole day that you could be filming and you invest in your employees, you invest in them and say, and it's for the new ones, they're like, here's how a walkie works, here's how you handle a walkie, here's how you handle this department. You get to meet all your departments. On other movies, like at that point too, I had PAs that worked for me every day that I'd never met until day one. I remember like day one of The Chosen, I didn't know any of my PAs, and I'm radioing them all day, didn't even meet them until lunch, and I'm telling them what to do all day and don't even meet them until lunch. And that happens all the time on set. But on Kendrick's, it was like I had these boot camp. I know my whole team, and I know them
bread
well.
with them, prayed with them.
Yes, eating with them, spending time, spend a whole day with them, and then we go into day one. That's a game changer. I was like, why does not every single film in the industry do this, Christian or not?
Beautiful, yeah.
Every single film should do this. So, anyways, that was my introduction to you guys, and it was just like, again, like I said, I've been doing it for quite a while at that point. And then coming in and seeing how you guys do it, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is
special.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, so, okay. So to Adam's point of like, he'd been wanting to work with you for 10 years and he eventually got onto your set. Obviously, you guys have been doing this now for, more. I mean, when was Flywheel? Flywheel was 2002, you said? So
Yeah.
It's like 23 years you guys have been doing this. How do you guys feel about yourselves as filmmakers now versus when you started? Obviously, your guys' heart is still in the same place, but where would you guys say is the biggest change that you've experienced as filmmakers in the past 23 years?
Well, we can approach that from a number of different vantage points. First off, I'm going to start spiritually. It's so good to chase excellence. So we love when people say, I want it to be artistic and well done. We agree. You want to chase excellence. What you don't want to do is chase self-glory, the awards. I'm chasing, I want to be so respected as a filmmaker. And too many people chase after that first. And man, that needs to be way down the list. And so, and when people are with you, they can tell pretty quick how big your ego is. But when they walk with you, if they see you're chasing excellence and you're helping other people, but you're humble about it, wow, that's refreshing when you're around people that are relying on the Lord and they're treating it as a team effort, not everybody do what I say. And so that's been good. So the Lord's worked there. There's a unity that needs to happen that makes things work better. And you want, when people leave your set, at least we feel this way, when people finish and leave your set, not only do you want a well movie shot, but you want people leaving saying, I would do that again. I would come back and I'm going to miss this team. I'm going to miss the crew I worked with. I learned a lot and it was a blessing because it's hard to make a movie, but man, make it as fulfilling as possible.
Yeah. I would say when we're young and insecure and immature, we focus in on wanting to impress.
Yeah.
It's that pride of life inside of us where I really want to impress people with how talented I am, how cool I am, or how godly I am, or whatever. And when we discover our identity in Christ, which we were learning about on Overcomer, and that through Jesus and through the cross, God has totally redefined who we are. As we place our faith in him, we become his beloved children, which is like trumps every other identity that I have in life, is that I'm his beloved child. And the cross shouts from heaven, you are forgiven, you're chosen, you're loved. And basically, he satisfies all those longings of my heart. Then my motive shifts to, instead of trying to impress, now I want to love people. And that means I want to impact them for God's glory and help their lives be transformed so that they come to know Christ. They're living the life and life abundant that he has. So you shift from trying to impress to trying to impact. And it shifts how you treat people.
Yeah.
It shifts how much you pay them. It shifts what's motivating you. It shifts how you respond to criticism or failure, all those things. And so when we're around guys that are young, a lot of times they're still caught up in the hamster wheel of trying to impress. and they just go from workaholic, even if it's a Christian film or even if it's ministry, there can be a workaholism towards I have to impress, I have to impress, I have to impress. And that's endless. You're never going to scratch that itch without the Lord meeting you in that really deep place. And so for us, because God has brought us to a place where he's crushed our pride and he's ground our egos down to powder, and then we found him and our identity in him. Now it's like, hey, I want Drake to succeed. I want Willie to succeed. I want the Chosen to succeed because I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
My love tank is full.
It's not a competition.
No.
It's just you just cheer each other on if you're all seeking the same thing to honor the Lord and you want the Lord to show up in each of your projects. So
and it's how Jesus lived. Jesus was not living to impress. He was living out of love to impact everybody he came in contact with.
Yeah.
Dang.
Gosh, I know. It's like, woo,
Yeah.
get it, man.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Ben Stockton, one of your favorite members of The Brosen. Thank you so much for giving us a listen or a watch today, whatever platform you're on. I wanted to give a special shout out to our sponsor, Trevecca Nazarene University. They are rated one of Middle Tennessee's top Christian universities. They have an outstanding film and television degree, and they're the alma mater of our very own Adam Drake. Plus, he's a professor there right now. So, if you go to Trevecca, you can not only get a film degree, but you can maybe have Adam Drake, our host of The Brosen, as your professor. How crazy would that be? All that to say, if you want to check it out and go to a fabulous school in the heart of Nashville, go check them out at trevecca.edu.
I got a million things to say.
Well, first of all, God is crazy, man. Because we were going to plan to do this all week, and then the time and the schedule for everybody was getting wonky and funky. And I just got back from California shooting a pilot. I do a job now where it's called The Coin Cowboy, but I'm selling coins. I'm an actor, host of the show. And so I'm just super tired. And I just flew back at 5 a.m. on Saturday morning. And so then all of a sudden the schedule got funky, and I was like, guys, I'm going to enjoy my family today and take a beat. I'm going to Tampa for a short film next week. I was like, I'm just going to chill. And then the schedule, and then all of a sudden we push tonight, and then Drake freaking swings for the fences and gets you guys locked in. I was just kind of overwhelmed because every time I've been around y'all, met y'all, like I just feel the biggest takeaway for me from the Forge was be a fountain, not a drain. I think that's one of the greatest, simplest visual, and I'm a real visual, I mean, and that was just for me like, whoa, so often in life, I'm a drain. I don't want to be a drain, and I know it when I've been around these guys, they know it. And they're like, yo, Willie, I love you, dude, but you're freaking killing me right now. But like, I'm just kind of overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But I just think about my experience with y'all. They had worked on that. I had met these guys, this OG crowd in season 1 of The Chosen, and obviously
we had just finished. So we had just finished Overcomer when we met you on The
came
Chosen.
straight. So I worked with him on Washington's Armor. He got me on The Chosen, and so then when Overcomer came out, it just couldn't work out. Well, finally, I go see it in the Dollar Theater, and it's been out for like y'all's movie. I mean, this is like it had a long run. It did really great, and then it was in the Dollar Theater. I went and saw it. There was no one there, and it was a worship experience, man. Mm-hmm. I have seen, Case for Christ was the first time I was like, whoa, there's a shift happening for me, right? Mm-hmm. For me, because I came from a pretty dark place. When y'all were probably kicking butt in some other films, I was not watching those films at that time. I was just trying to stay afloat, you know what I mean? I went and saw that in the Dollar Theater, man, and I'm talking about I stood up and I was worshiping and crying when she's on that river, man, and she's going to make the amends, and she's going to take back the AirPods, she's going to take the money back, and I'm like, I'm about to rip my shirt off, you know what I mean? and listen to this, man. This is God, okay? I go from season 2, Chosen, we're out there in Utah, the locations manager keeps getting like sick, like every other week is like a near-death experience. God bless him. He's like coughing up a lung one day. And so all of a sudden, like I kind of ended up doing all the location. I'm like, hey, I'll get the trash cans. I'll get that. We'll set the tents. And he goes and tells the producers like, hey, Willie was kind of doing a lot of the location stuff. Well, then we come back to Texas. So I'm going to be locations manager. I get COVID right before we start prep. Who do they bring in? The first ever locations manager this guy was trying to get him to get was David Cook. Mm-hmm. I love these dudes. These dudes, I will make a movie with them. I pray till my last movie. You know what I mean? If I make movies, if that's God's will. But David Cook is one of my like dudes. There's just something different. Like here's me. Like Mitch and I are a lot alike in a lot of ways with film and art and music. Drake and I, a lot of David Cook's like over here. He's just a different dude. And he and I I talk to him all the time. And if it wasn't for that, it wasn't for me getting COVID, it wasn't for that, it wasn't for that. He's the one who was like, hey, you want to come location manage, LifeMark? And so it's just crazy. God is funny, man. He built the chessboard. He built all the pieces. It's his, L3. I don't know the chess moves.
Ooh, I mean, honestly, I was about to use
L3. Really impressed too if you had
that. He knows chess.
I work with a couple autistic dudes at GSA, and they're like, I can beat you, not even look at the board. Just tell me your move. And I'm like, well, I did this. And he's like, oh, that's a G4. And I'm like, whoa, dude.
Oh my God.
Go listen to the Wu-Tang Clan and chill out.
No, but listen, what I think is kind of interesting that I want to talk about too with you guys is you do LifeMark, you work on that project, and then the Kendrick Brothers are now going in to make The Forge. And up until now, you could say that, in many ways they've made the right decisions so far in their career and everything, but then they cast you in The Forge. So what how did we get there? What
obviously it was a political hire, Mitch.
Right.
Yeah.
Did he come with some free location?
I
saw that.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
Alex, all your casting choices have been great. The question is, why did you hire Willie Molina in The Forge?
Why
We need a guy who loves Jesus, but he probably has been on drugs.
His grace is sufficient. His grace is sufficient. That's another God story, man. I'm literally my agent submitted me for that, and I didn't get a read. I didn't get an opportunity. I'm working and I'm struggling. Season 4 on The Chosen. I'm doing craft services. I'm a sober individual, and I'm working in a situation that is not the healthiest environment. Spiritually, professionally, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what is going on? I get a phone call from Aaron Burns. I'm at lunch, and I'm like,
Aaron Burns is one of the producers.
One of the producers. I met him on Washington's Armor. Yeah. And he calls me, and we talk, and then just like David Cook, the brothers I've met, man, it's like, how are you? How is your heart? How is your family? What's going on? Tell me about everything. We had this great 20-minute conversation at the very end of it. He's like, oh, the reason I called was there's a couple roles, and I wanted to know if you wanted to read for it in The Forge. And I'm like, no, Aaron, I don't want to read for The Forge. Yes, dude. and so I get these things, and I'm like, shoot. And he was like, dude, try to get as soon as possible. We've been working on this for, I don't know, a week or a few days. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, shoot, I hope I can't. That night, about an hour or 2.5 hours later, out of nowhere, like Texas, lightning, thunder, 30 minutes, break. Another one hits, and that second one, right when that second one hit, we have to wait, 30 minutes.
When we get lightning or storms on set, we have to take breaks. We can't work outside. We have to go inside and seek shelter as part of the union rules. Mm-hmm. So if we get a lightning strike within a certain radius of where we're working, we have to say, okay, everyone breaks for 30 minutes, or if we get another strike, it's 30 minutes after that. And so it means that the crew has a rare thing, which is just downtime,
just sitting around,
or you
can shoot an audition,
or take a nap.
Right. That's what he's saying about
So the second one, exactly. The second one hits. My one of our PA, Christian Kramer. I said, hey man, you mind help me with this? I look at these sides. There's a guy named Wyatt who's arguing about LeBron or Jordan, which I feel very strongly about.
Right.
and then there's this other guy, and I'm like, both of them. I'm like, I mean, I think I read them a couple times, and I didn't even get off book. I mean, I got off book, right? But I got this, you know what I mean? This is fun. I sent them to Aaron Burns within an hour of doing it. And he said, dude, these are both so good. Which one do you connect with more? And I was like, well, the basketball was really, really easy. I was like, but that's the only thing about that guy that I really connected with. I was like, this guy, is me. I've been the employee that shows up late and has excuses, and I've also been the assistant location manager where I'm like, I need you there at 5, and they show up and they're not there, so then I got to go set the cones on the road, and it's like, I've been both. And so I said, man, I could connect with Todd more, and he was like, great. And then the next week starts, And I'm talking about mentally. And I told these guys, I was like, brothers, I love y'all. I need some prayer. I'm struggling with the situation. And then literally God says, clean the van. And the van of who I'm working with. Yeah. And it was a dirty, dirty, dirty van. And I mean like dirty in every way you can think. I clean this thing for like 3.5 hours. I pull everything out of it. God's just like, and I'm like, dude, I'm listening to work. I'm like, whoo, I feel like I'm an overcomer again. And I pull everything out of that van and I clean that thing like my dad taught me to clean, my first couple cars. And it was worship. It was incredible. I felt so humbled. I felt so small. Like I met a guy one time. He's like, "You want to feel the presence of God? Go do the dishes." And I realized doing that. I'm telling you, the moment I finish, I wrap up the power washer. I strap everything back down. I close the van. I park it. Y'all FaceTime me. Mm-hmm. I put it up and I answer it, because I knew that y'all do what y'all do when you call folks.
So, for example, the Kendricks always call and FaceTime the actors to tell them they got the role.
I love that.
Which is so cool.
And I will never, like God is the greatest preacher. I love Levi Lusko. I love watching The Chosen or watching The Forge. I love that. But like God is the greatest preacher, and he will teach you through your experience and through life. For the meek shall inherit the earth. No, dude, you got to freaking pull the stuff out of the van and clean it. And then then he speaks the sermon to you and you taste it.
Wow.
You taste it. And he's like, you know how much I love you? Go clean the van and then I'm going to bless you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like, I've done a lot of movies that never even, that I worked on them. I worked my butt off. I did all this work. I mean, I can't tell you how many auditions. I can't even tell you. But like The Forge was, I don't know, $40 million, $45 million in theaters. And then like to get people at the other day, a family, I went to In-N-Out after church and this whole family comes over and they were like, the Forge. And it's just like, awesome. It's just, great, a guy at HEB, I was struggling a few months ago. My brothers know I was struggling and I'm leaving HEB and this guy comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, were you Todd in The Forge?" And I'm like, "Brother, yes, I was." And he gives me a big old squeeze, 6'3", looked like he was outside linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or something.
Wow.
And he just got in there. He got in there tight. And I just was like, I needed that hug from this dude at HEB. And so the amount of blessings that come from, the lightning delays, the audition, cleaning out the van, the FaceTime, going to do the thing, that's the first and only movie I've ever got to do where my family was with me. Because you guys are like, David and Aaron and the guys are like, "Hey, how can we make this work where your family can come?" And that's so not, cool. Outside of Taika Waititi and you guys, there's not a lot of filmmakers that are like, we want your family. If it works for you and your family, we want to make it work. And you guys.
Yeah. Another thing the Kendrick Brothers do, they pay to have your family along with you while you're making the film, which is so cool. Obviously difficult and more money. And
one of the many things, starting every day, inviting someone who has a testimony, who either leads a church, shepherds a church, has a ministry, does a homeless ministry in Albany or in Columbus, carving out that first part of the day to say, you don't have to be here, but if you want to, we'll pay you. We're going to feed you. It's breakfast. And we want to share an encouraging word. I got to produce my first ever short in December, and we did that, and the guy was like, "Hey, we can't take that." I was like, "No, cool. But it's just a quick little story. I shout somebody out and I'm like, "Hey, I want to shout out sound yesterday. They had a booger of a time. We got tons of planes coming over." And I bring them up, just want to share and then lift them up and praise them. And then they're emotional and you can see it. And everybody's like, "I'll fight for this kind of atmosphere. Yeah. I'll have a 13-hour day."
So again, for reference, that comes from them. Again, for reference, another thing the Kendricks do that's amazing. We didn't touch on what Willie's talking about is they start each morning with a devotion or a testimony, which again is on the company clock, costs money. Like everybody's getting paid to be there. So you're taking time away from filming, and time, as I know as an AD, is very precious and very expensive. and then also they honor somebody like that. Like you take a crew member or whoever had and you honor them and what they do, which is again just sets the tone for the entire shoot, the entire day. Also, I didn't know that story, bro. It's beautiful. An incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the cleaning the truck. You told me about cleaning the truck, and you told me about them FaceTime you, but I didn't know all that was.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Well, and let me say this: on our end, we were going through different people, And when we landed on, because you crushed it in the audition.
Yeah.
And so we liked the audition. We had some other good auditions too, but we were like, Willie loves Jesus. And we enjoyed working with him on LifeMark. And we were talking about it would just be fun to hang out with him. And we think he's seeking the Lord. And if this could be a blessing to him and his family, let's do it. We were excited about calling you and giving you that role. Not just because you crushed the audition.
No, you did great in the movie too.
Yeah, you could. But we were like, this guy has a servant's heart. He showed up, worked his tail off on LifeMark, taking out the trash and helping us behind the scenes. And if we can give him this role and be a blessing to him and his family, man, because he's going to be a conduit of the Holy Spirit, and he's going to use the platform to honor the kingdom. And so we were like, this is an absolute yes. So we were excited about calling you.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So what, I guess, is that something that kind of goes into your other casting decisions? When you guys cast, are you also thinking, obviously you're looking for great performers, but are there other criteria that you look for that is maybe different from what other directors look for?
Yeah, and you guys will know what I'm talking about when I do this. When somebody, say on The Chosen, you guys, and I don't want you to do it for the sake of this podcast, but if I ask you who shows up on The Chosen that you can tell is walking with the Lord, and it's not just that they're a talented actor, but it's like the presence of the Lord, the blessing of the Lord, His favor is on them. And that's something you can't buy. You just either are walking with the Lord or you're not. So what we pray for is, Lord, give us actors that are not just talented actors, but that your hand is on them and that you will speak through them, and that they will, as Stephen said earlier, they will use the platform that this movie may give them or increase for them, that they'll use it to honor you and glorify you, instead of just, hey, more people recognize me, somebody give me an award or whatever. That's because that's not what it's about. That's an empty goal to be chasing awards and fame. But to the degree that somebody will do something with excellence and then use that leverage for the kingdom, we're for that. That's what we want. So we look for talented actors that have a heart aimed at the Lord. And again, we're not their judge, but to the degree that we have to cast a movie and a lot of people are going to see them, we want those kind of people. And so that's what we specifically look for. So we commonly ask a very difficult question when we're casting. If we get it down to where we think, hey, we could cast this person, especially if it's a significant role, we'll commonly ask this question. If you're talented, you could do this. We have a hard question. Is there anything in your life that would prevent God from blessing your work on this movie?
Wow.
And so that question is, and we've had people that have said, yes, there is stuff in my life that God will not bless. And we say, well, if you know what it is, can you make that right with the Lord? And we've had some people say, I don't know. And so they excuse themselves. And even though they would have been cast, they're not. And we thank God for that, because we want God's hand on the cast. And again, none of us are perfect, but again, there's a difference between somebody who says, God, I want to honor you, and somebody that's hiding private sin and refuses to get it right. There's a difference between those people, even if they're both talented. So yeah, that's what we aim for and pray for. So even in the movie we're doing right now, this week, we're casting this week. And when we have like all day Wednesday, we're going to have a ton of people come in, do the reads and things like that. And so we're begging God, Lord, show us not just that they can act, but show us the people that your hand is on. Make it obvious, Lord, that your blessing and your favor is right along with them, and then we give them the role. So yeah, it's tricky sometimes, but that's what we aim for.
You guys don't just do that with cast, because that reminds me the first time Steven called me, and you guys were basically offering me the first AD position for Overcomer, and Steven's like asked me that question, and I was like, what? I've never been asked that, like, well, especially for a movie.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure my first response was, you were like, is there anything that would be in the way? And I was like, well, how much time do you have?
You told me. I remember like it was yesterday.
That's great.
Because I mean, and when I remember exactly. A lot of times when I get a phone call like that or a big moment like that, I remember visually exactly where I was. And I know exactly where I was when Steven called me, because I've been wanting to work with these guys for a while and then got that question. But I was on a secular film called Only, and it was hard because I knew I was the only believer on that set. and I was running the set, and I was there alone. I didn't have, for almost every film I've done, I've had Mitch or I've had somebody with me, and that was one where I got hired on. I didn't have a single team member that was a believer with me. It was all new crew, and I just remember being so difficult to and just kind of feeling that heavy and that weight, and then getting that phone call and just being so excited of like, this is kind of like your story is like, this is exactly what I need right now. Like, cause this is what I'm doing right now is heavy and it's hard. And I like, don't want to be here, even though it's like, this is what I love. Work. I love making movies and I love doing this. And this is a great project to be a part of. And even the crew is great and the people are great, but I'm like, I just feel this weight of like, what am I doing? Like, So anyways, that takes me back to that phone call. That's cool.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
That's awesome.
Our first movie with Justin was Fireproof.
Yeah,
and he was there when the forklift showed up on the train tracks when we needed a forklift and didn't have one, and we were an hour away from home. And he watched us pray and the forklift show up. And ever since then, he was with us on Courageous when we saw the Lord working miracles and providing locations and changing the weather at the end of the movie just at the perfect time. And so on Overcomer, I remember Aaron Burns and he's a spreadsheet guy and he wants to have everything planned out and I said, let's just stop and let's just spend time praying. And then we got in the car and started driving towards Columbus. And he's like, we don't have a plan. We don't have. And I was like, we're going to pray the whole hour and a half, on the way up there. And we got about 2 weeks worth of work done in one day.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because we were just following the leadership of the Holy Spirit. God surprised us with connecting us with somebody at a hospital we were not expecting. It turned into a meeting with a pastor who opened up his church to be our production office. We shot there. He connected us with other churches in town. All of these dominoes fell. Basically, if you go back to a Chosen episode, we tend to be like Peter fishing all night and catching nothing. And when you get Jesus in the boat,
come on,
miracles happen.
Yeah.
And so we talk about, man, let's quit running ahead of God thinking that we're competent and we don't need him. And let's back up and start right out of the chute and say, Jesus, tell me what you want me to do. And he'll say, get in the boat and launch out. And you're like, yes, sir. And so we try to do that as we write. We try to do that as we cast. We tell people the most important question you can ask is, Lord, what do you want me to do? Not what do I want to do, not what do other people want me to do, not what do the unions want me to do, not what does the distributor want me to do. There's only one sovereign Lord over the universe who controls the wind, the waves, the heavens, can turn the heart of the king, can send, Elijah food out of nowhere. And he's the one we will stand before and be judged by one day. And so we've learned, just get on your knees or cry out to him and say, what do you want me to do? And just obey him. And what happens is he then solves all these other problems that you can't solve. He protects you on the journey. He sends the resources you have, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's way more fun than you impressing people with some performance thing and getting glory for 15 minutes, and then you feel icky afterwards,
Yuck.
So
Right.
we just, like right now, we're in Brazil. We don't have locations yet. We don't have a cast yet. We don't have a crew yet. The money actually hasn't come in yet. And so, but we're not staying awake at night worried. The Lord has told us to come here. So we're here by faith, and Lord willing, we're going to start shooting in September, and God is going to provide everything that we need between now and then.
Yep.
And we don't speak Portuguese. So there's a whole lot of things.
Incredible.
There's a whole lot of miracles that have to happen between now and September, and we're sleeping well at night.
Yeah.
Because he has proven faithful on every project.
Yeah, and we're being responsible and working hard, but we're not going to be anxious. Be anxious for nothing.
Right.
But by prayer and supplication, let your requests be made unto God, and the peace of God that passes all understanding will guard your heart in Christ Jesus. So we're going to do what we need to do. We're going to work hard, but we're going to give it to the Lord and ask the Lord to open the doors he wants us to walk through and to shut the doors he doesn't want us to walk through. We're not going to go and try to kick in doors. We're going to say, Lord, would you open the doors you want us to walk through? And he always does. So he's going to do that this week, and then all until we start shooting in September.
Yeah, on that, it's something I so respect about you guys, of just you do rely on God. You do give it to the Lord. You know, it's so hard to, in practice, take that approach of like, do not be anxious. You know, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like so many people, and I know even for myself, like I can remind myself that, but then actually doing it is extremely difficult. It's like I have to tell myself to step back. And it's a very challenging thing to do, because especially on a film project, all you want to do with your hands is just go in, you know what I mean? And just hold on to it and just grip. And, you know, you feel like it's all going to just fall apart if you don't. When was that a trait that you guys had before filmmaking? And if so, is that something that you saw modeled in your lives, or where did that kind of start to really develop in this for you?
Yeah, so it developed early in our lives through our parents, but filmmaking was good practice for us because we fretted a lot in the first 2-3 movies.
Yeah.
And then we started to notice, wow, God knows where the forklifts are. He knows where the money's going to come from. He knows where our office is going to be. He knows who's going to distribute. And we stopped fretting so much, but it takes practice, you know, just like when you guys learn a new sport or craft, you just have to practice at it to get better. But our father started a Christian school from nothing. He prayed in the money, prayed in the locations, prayed in the staff and crew. First year he had 80 students, and he grew up to about 600 or so students. Wow. And we watched him build a school from nothing. I mean, other schools that were closing down from miles away would call when he was praying for desks and lockers and books. And other schools would call and say, hey, I felt like we should call you and offer our desks and lockers and books and things like that. And he's like, answered a prayer. And then he'd come home and tell us, well, we've been praying for desk lockers and books, and guess who called today? Such and such a school, and they're sending trucks over loaded with desk lockers and books. And we were just go, what? And so I remember, and this happens in Flywheel, but it happened because my dad specifically asked for God, I need $7,000 to do such and such in our school. And then next day, a guy walks in and says, hey, my wife and I were praying. We felt led to give you this. It is a check for $7,000. And he comes home and says, God answered another prayer today. And it's just so watching our father do that, we were like, okay, God can honor our prayer and our faith if we're trying to honor him and asking for it. So, so we learned from that academically, and then we had to practice it ourselves in our own movies.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, set stories. I want to get into that. Steven, you dove into it a little bit, and kind of how you guys, you've been doing it for over 20 years now, so you have so many set stories.
Right.
But is there one of your favorites? If it is Overcomer or Lifemark or The Forge, that'd be great since we're involved. But like, what is one of your absolute favorites? I know the forklift one's insane, and I've heard that one told, from Fireproof. But is there an absolute favorite that you can share with us?
Well, do you want
pick a movie?
Yeah. Do you want tender or do you want funny?
Both. One of each. One of each.
Yeah, one of each.
Yeah. Tell us something from Overcomer, maybe.
Yeah.
Also, even maybe really dramatic. All of a sudden, an actor or something just turned. I don't know.
Well, so I'll tell you a dream. The Forge, when we did the scene with Aspen Kennedy, who was much like the character he was playing. His father wasn't in his life much growing up, and he had to get to a point where he forgave his father, and he always wanted a father's blessing. And after we did the scene in the Forge room where they pray a blessing over him, and that was emotional for him. And when it was done, we excused the crew, and all of those men who are godly men in real life stayed and legitimately prayed a father's blessing over him, laying their hands on him and praying, no cameras running. And man, he just wept. He just wept, and he said, I'll never forget this. And he said, so what I wanted my dad to do for me, I've just had 8 dads do for me all at one time. And and he said that was just phenomenal. So that I think of War Room, where we were short $500,000. We were halfway through shooting War Room, and Steven and I were using our own money to hoping that the Sony money would arrive. But we were still going through the bonding process, and Sony said, we can't send it yet. And so Steven and I went to the car. The staff's inside the studio building where we were filming, and we sat in my car, and I said, we're out of money. We can't pay anybody. We need $500,000 just to finish this part of the shoot. and we prayed. Steve and I prayed together in the car. God, we obeyed you. We came to Charlotte to shoot the movie. You've opened up the door, and would you give us this money because we need it? As soon as I said amen, my cell phone rings. We're still sitting in my car. And it was a businessman. And I was like, why is he calling? Answer the phone. He says, hey, man, what's going on? And we said, we're filming a movie in Charlotte. How about you? What are you doing? And he goes, well, hey, do you guys have any needs right now? And we were like, what makes you ask? And he said, I just felt like God told me to call you. And we were like, what? He said, and he literally said, do you need any money? And we said, we do. And he said, how much do you need? And I was looking at Stephen like, how do you ask somebody for $500,000?
$20 million.
Yeah. And we said, well, we do. And I didn't want to tell him. And he said, guys, what do you need? And I said, well, we're short $500,000 to finish shooting this movie War Room. And he said, all right, I'm sending it. I'm writing the check. Give me an address to send it to. And I don't want it back. No screens and tests. I'm just sending the check. And I was stunned, had tears in my eyes. And so we gave him the address. He sent it. We walked back in, and Justin Tolley says, hey, man, what are we doing? We shutting down? We're going to keep filming. And we said, we just got somebody that's sending the money right now. And he was like, what? So that stuff like that stuff like that is all God, because we called out to him when we were in a situation where we were trying to be good stewards and responsible. But today I look at that and I was like, Lord, you wanted us in that situation so that you could come through and you get full credit for it. Yep. So we finished War Room, which was our top grossing movie. We finished War Room because God stepped in and prompted someone to call us and send us the money. And so that was just incredible. You get one?
Well, I was thinking about Courageous. We were going into Courageous, and John Irwin had contacted us after Fireproof, because he'd been making award-winning music videos, and we could tell that he was wanting to get into feature films. So we called him and said, hey, bro, come direct our second unit, come on the set, hang out with us during the whole shoot. If there's anything that we know how to do, any bullets that we have that'll fit your gun for the future, we know you're called into film. He came on, did an excellent job doing second unit, and was with us on that whole journey. When we were filming the gang beat-in scene, TC Stallings on, John's helping run second unit stuff, and we had some incredible cinematography on Courageous. Everything had bumped up from where we had been before on Fireproof. But anyway, TC Stallings was sharing his testimony in between the takes. The sound guy was standing there holding the boom mic, hearing in his earphones.
He wasn't a Christian.
The entire testimony.
Wow.
And he gave his life to Christ at the end of shooting that gang beat-in scene.
Because
TC was acting like a tough gang guy in between action and cut, and sharing the gospel between cut and action. So it was amazing experience watching the Lord working on camera, behind the scenes, and even prepping people for the future. So it was exciting.
Wow.
Wow.
What? Yeah. I mean, you can't write that stuff, right? That's like,
wow.
That's so cool. All right. Those are amazing, and I'm sure you got a dozen more. Do you have some fun ones in, like some, and maybe it's a mixture of? I'm sure you guys have done so many movies. You got some fun ones. Hit us with the fun ones.
So, Kirk Cameron is a jokester, and he got a little frustrated with us because we pulled so many pranks on him during Fireproof. He said no one has ever joked at me this much. So we. If you look at the bloopers,
you would have known that. We would have got him on LifeMark.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We did on LifeMark when he was doing the dishwashing scene. He's washing dishes, and we did this in Fireproof too. So we got him twice. But in LifeMark, just in Fireproof.
Yes.
Fool me once.
Yes. He's washing dishes, and the whole staff just leaves. The camera crew, everybody just leaves. He's in there washing dishes with his back to the camera, and no one ever calls cut. And he stops and he says, guys, you want me to keep going? And no one answers. And he turns around and no one is there on set.
Hi, honey.
All right.
right. I had a feeling someone was playing a trick on me.
All the crew's gone, all the cast is gone. Yeah.
Everybody's gone. 12 years apart. We did the same joke twice on Kirk, and it worked.
No, yeah, I mean that, and I feel like again that just kind of goes back to the set culture that you guys foster, where it is fun. It is, there's room for that. Like it's, there's a lot of, I've been on other sets where the idea of even having a joke, just like, chilling out at all is just like, oh, what? Like we're all too stressed. I don't know. Yeah. But like your shoots are just different. I don't have like a specific set story in mind about the two of you guys, but there is like kind of, I guess, just like a character thing that always makes me laugh just about the two of you, which is I feel like every time I'm on set with you guys, it is like the first time you guys have ever been on a movie set. Just the wonder as you guys look around, you'd be like, that's a light. You just go up to someone like, you're a key grip. Now, what is that?
What does
and it's
a key grip do?
Haven't you guys been on these? Had these people around before, and they'll be like a guy pushing a camera on a dolly, and you're like, so you push that, and it goes on the wheels, on the rails, and the camera moves on screen, and it's like, yes, that's how filmmaking works. But it just makes me. Every time I'm like, that's right. This is cool. I don't know. Like whenever I'm around you guys, I feel like film is cool again. I don't know. It just your guys' sense of wonder that you have. I still don't think you really know some aspects of filmmaking, and I love that.
Right. Absolutely. That's true.
Yeah, and
that's true. You get good people around you that know what they're doing to help you tell the story, and everybody thinks you're better than you are.
It's so great, though. It's awesome. I think it's great.
I have a story.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were working on Fireproof, and we ended up having to we were working on hiring more professionals because Facing the Giants, it was mainly volunteers from our church. And there was one guy who'd gotten out of film school. He just worked on some other Christian films. We hired him to come work, I think, in the grip department. Anyway, we didn't know his backstory. We just knew he was a believer. He shows up on set, and what we didn't know is he'd worked on another Christian film and he'd gotten really burned. He got burned by the whole environment. He was excited about honoring God through film, and the movie had a God-honoring message, but behind the scenes, there was a lot of toxic stuff going on that was ungodly. And he just got PTSD after being on that set and he walked away thinking, I never want to work on a Christian movie again. So we didn't know about all that. So he comes, though, and he's coming to help us on Fireproof, and he's real jaded and skeptical and hurt. He walks into his hotel room, and there's a gift basket from our hospitality team waiting for him with all of his favorite snacks, with a prayer card written by our prayer team telling him how grateful they are he's here, how they're praying for him and his wife and his kids while he's gone. And he just breaks and starts weeping in the hotel room because he was so burned by the previous experience.
He's jaded. Yeah.
And so he told us later he kind of healed on Fireproof. But on one of the scenes at our local hospital, we were filming at an active hospital. And we're filming in the cafeteria. And at Phoebe Putney Hospital in Albany, Georgia, when a baby is born, over the sound system throughout the hospital, it'll play da-na-na, na-na-na, 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 and it's basically a baby's been born in the hospital, and everybody will hear that. So anyway, on the previous set where he'd been, if somebody messed up, the director would throw his headphones down and start yelling at people, "You're ruining my movie," And so when that starts playing right in the middle of a scene, he turns and looks at Alex like, how's this director going to respond? Alex pulls off his earphones and goes, "A baby has been born," like that. And everybody starts cheering. Everybody starts cheering and laughing. And he's like, what a different experience,
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Bubba Cathy has a statement. He says, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. Yeah. And I'm thinking, man, it ought to be, as difficult as filmmaking is, that we ought to make it a joyful, loving, peaceful experience because it's hard.
It is.
It's really hard. And you need to be a team with people and build friendships and unity so that even if you're in the trenches and the lightning's there, you're with people you love.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Amen.
Yet another
Man.
thing you guys do that I still didn't cover.
Yeah.
I talk about what you guys do, and you guys do so many things different and so wonderful. I don't even remember them all. There was another one, the welcome
basket.
hospitality, the hospitality for everybody that comes.
Well, don't even get me started on Brenda Harris and just the prayer team that the Kendrick Brothers have. Brenda is like she does a few different things for the Kendrick Brothers company, but she on set she does a lot of just like prayer. Like she's the head of they have a different, in the back of a call sheet you'll have like all these different departments. Like the biggest difference for the Kendrick Brothers is that they'll have like a prayer like department,
literally a prayer team. Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute, what's that?
Yeah, I mean Brenda would just literally ride around on the golf cart, like hand out,
just praying for people.
Praying for people. The golf cart is real close to the edge of the sidewalk, but it's
praying a ton, and when they're not, they're just there. They're smiling. They're like, "How's everything going?"
Special.
Reminded me of a couple of things. The environment that y'all foster. There was a young man that, typically wouldn't be there for a lot of the meetings. I don't think he was there for boot camp because we brought him in later because there was a transition in the transportation department for the Forge. And, just being around there and the constant love and encouragement and just sound biblical. People are constantly referencing things. There's a transpo dude, and he was picking me up and taking me back to the RV park that I was staying in. And I just got to love him and encourage him. And maybe my story was a little bit different than some folks. I don't know, but all of a sudden I had an extra Bible. I gave that to him, and then he kept picking me up, and then he started to send me, after I rapped, he started to send me photos of like the Bible that I gave him, and then going to church. He was like, dude, I'm going to church for the first time in years. And he's like taking photos of it. And I think it was David Cook that I got to share that with. And I was like, dude, look at God. But the baskets, I was like, I couldn't think of for myself. I was like, so I just thought, my kids are going to be at the RV. They're going to want to watch a lot of movies. So I wrote like M&M's, the colorful Chewies, Mike Ike's.
Oh, yeah,
couple of things. I don't even know what I did. I go back to the RV and I take it. We're like wrapped or whatever. And they're sitting there watching the movie. I take it to them. They're like, what's all this? And I was like, this is what the Kendrick Brothers do. And my son, Mick, as soon as he's like, when's their next movie that they're making? Benji.
We want to give a chance for Ben. Yeah, we've been going nuts.
Yeah. I was going to say, circling back to kind of the atmosphere, I have thankfully had a plethora of different sets that I've been a part of, and I won't speak on one of them, but Adam and I were working on a set that had actually tried to replicate what you guys do on your sets and tried to build in a prayer time. And I remember being a part of that conversation that it was like, Adam straight up was just like, it's what we do. It is built into the 12-hour day. It is a 30-minute slot at the beginning of the day, and like you schedule around it. It's not something that you can just force into. It's something that everybody has to accept and go, okay, we're going to pray, we're going to have our devotion, and then we'll go into the rest of the film day and believe and have the faith that it will all finish up by that 12-hour mark. And if we need to go into OT, we'll figure it out. Like it is what it is. But then to the other side of that, kind of having fun. Yeah, in my 7 years of working in film, and half of that being a DGAAD, I have never once been a part of a Nerf war set on a film that I worked on, except for LiveMark. We started getting into it, Grip and Electric, and then camera teams started buying Nerf guns as well. And Bob would keep one and literally would just shoot it at monitor while I was standing there at Video Village. It was a time.
You're right. That just doesn't happen on film sets.
No,
not even remotely.
Yeah. I have so many. I have some of my favorite pictures of Ben are Ben holding Nerf guns on the set of LifeMark. We took we're gonna put a picture on the screen. This is a joking picture of like he was like, it's serious now, and he put like a nail in one of them.
That's how you hack the like Nerf bullets. You could take off the little rubber. I'm 28 years old. You could take off the rubber tip of the like Nerf bullet, and you could put a thumbtack in it, and it'll shoot. It'll shoot straight to a wall, man.
Kid? Yeah. The healthiest film Ben is on a Kendrick Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
dude,
not stuck in
I was about to
DPs.
say, that was probably the least anxious I've ever been on a film set, for
It was a
sure.
great time.
Play a lot of basketball.
Given it was surrounded by literally all of our closest friends, like all of us were crushing it.
Dude.
Yeah.
Everybody was doing their job. We
I kind of
were,
hope
and
you
we,
get fired from this job. You
Right.
got to come back
And
and
it
jam
was-
with us.
Morocco. Yeah.
Yeah,
Emily,
for real.
we're gonna get Kyle to build another trailer, and we're gonna go do film from now on.
Yeah.
coming back.
Well, all that to say, we have had so many great stories with you guys on set. We've had such a great time. I think all four of us, I'm sure, would say the same thing, that if we had the chance to do a Kendrick Brothers movie again, I think I would. I think if I got a phone call the same day from Steven Spielberg and Alex Kendrick, I think and if you were like, which one do you think you're going to have a better, more fulfilling, more rich experience on, is not even in comparison. I think I'd be like, okay, well, have fun, Steven. And
Spielberg.
I'm coming over Spielberg.
Yeah, why didn't you go
Steven
Steven?
Kendrick.
Steven,
You know what? I
Steven
picked a
Kendrick.
bad director because he has the same name as Steven Kendrick, and I realized that. But yeah, it's Kendrick's all day. You guys do something special, and it's been an honor to be a part of any of them. And I wish you guys the best of success in Brazil with what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, anyways, just wanted to say that for
Amen.
Well, we are so grateful for each of you, and thank you for letting us do a Brosen episode with you. And we would work with any of you anytime, and expect a call.
That's what I'm talking about.
Awesome.
Well,
Absolutely.
Alex, Steven, thank you for
having
chosen the Brosen.
That's right.
That's it.
Awesome.
That's our sign off. It's super lame, but there it is.
That's what we do.
That's all
Yeah.
We also could send it off with what happened when that song would come on and it said at the hospital someone had a baby.
Oh yeah.
What was it? A baby has been born. I love that, man. I love that.
That's awesome. Alex and Steven Kendrick, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you, guys.
We
Blessings,
appreciate
guys.
it. Thank you.
Hey, Brosen fans, if you made it this far, then obviously you like the Kendricks, listening to the Kendricks, or watching the Kendricks, or maybe even us. Either way, if you want more, we talked to the Kendricks for over 2 hours. You can find more on Patreon. I'll put the link here. The link is below. But you can get more exclusive videos with them on Patreon, where we asked them to rank their favorite films and to rank their own films, because they've made, 10 movies or whatever it is? It's a fun conversation, so go check it out on Patreon.